Welcome to Advent and the beginning of another church year, with reflections on the good news of Jesus Christ taken this year from the Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. In those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day that Noah entered the ark. They did not know until the flood came and carried them all away. So will it be at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be out in the field. One will be taken, and one will be left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill. One will be taken, and one will be left. Therefore, stay awake, for you do not know on which day your Lord will come. Be sure of this. If the master of the house had known the hour of night when the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake and not let his house be broken into. So too, you also must be prepared, for an hour you do not expect, the Son of Man will come." The good news of the Lord. Ask any expectant mother if she wants her baby to come early, and she will say, no, she does not. As badly as her back hurts, as long as it has been since she has seen her toes, she is willing to wait because the baby is not yet ready for birth. The eyelashes are ready, but not the fingernails. The kidneys are ready, but not the lungs. Those tiny wing-shaped sacs are still preparing to make the leap from fluid to air. There is still more to do in the dusky womb, where the baby is growing like a seed in the dark. The child's parents may never be ready, especially if this is their first. They want this, and they are terrified of this. They planned for this, and they can't imagine how this happened. Meanwhile, they have a few baby-less weeks to go, which they can put to good use. They can make sure the nursery is ready. They can learn to sing some lullabies. They can think about what it means to bring a human being into the world and what it will take to raise a child into his or her full humanity. They may even find a few days for a baby moon. All they cannot do is hold a baby in the light because the baby is still in the dark. We celebrate the birth of God's Christ in the darkest days of the year. But the dawning of the light of Christ enables us not only to not fear the darkness, but to find God in the darkness. The season of Advent calls us to such pregnant waiting, not passive, disengaged waiting for we don't know what, but waiting that anticipates and makes possible now what is to come. The experience of waiting enables us to realize that what we appreciate, value, and cherish. Waiting teaches us how to be present and attentive to family and friends. Waiting opens our vision and spirits to realize the love of God in our midst. So, wake up. Advent begins with that sobering warning from Jesus. Why? Because Christ is coming. Well, yes, we might think, because Christmas is coming, as the advertisers remind us endlessly. True. But Christmas is a celebration of the birth of Jesus, and that happened a very long time ago. And while we do celebrate his birthday, Jesus is not about to be born again. Advent is not about looking to the distant past. But neither is Advent just looking toward the future, even though today's gospel emphasizes our need to prepare for the final coming of Jesus, whether that means the end of the world as we know it, which frankly I doubt is going to happen this week. Does anyone want to place a bet on that? Or the end of our own individual lives. And as the terrible, almost daily litany of senseless killings painfully reminds us, that could happen when and where we least expect it. Like the people mentioned in today's gospel, we don't like to think much about how or when we will leave this world. We would just rather go on about our lives, busy with the many ordinary and wonderful things that fill our days. But that it will happen someday is an inescapable fact. This gospel passage is a call to get off cruise control, wake up, and face that uncomfortable reality. And facing it means asking some difficult questions, such as, how am I ready for that day? Perhaps you are thinking to yourself, I don't have to worry. I had my annual physical exam last week, and the doctor said that I have the heart of a teenager. We may think of death as happening only to old or sick people. But how many end up as statistics on the death toll of our roads every year? Our government's expectations are that just this holiday weekend, several hundred people will die from auto-related accidents. Or how many, young or old, were absent from family gatherings this week because accident or disease struck them down. In this country, we think about the future a lot and prepare for it in many ways. We try to save for a rainy day, or to get married, or buy a home. We want to send the children to college, and someday retire in comfort. And we protect ourselves against future misfortunes with all kinds of insurance. And perhaps you're beginning to think of this message as a pitch for another kind of fire insurance against that day Christ calls you, whenever that may be. No, that's not what this is about. Yes, Christ came a long time ago. And yes, Christ will come again on some unknown date in the future. But Advent calls us to look for how Christ will come today, not just in prayer and worship, but in ways that I might not expect and may not notice unless I am paying attention, unless I am staying awake. He often shows himself in the unrehearsed moments, the interruptions and accidents that might throw me off balance and disrupt my schedule. Can I learn to recognize his face in those encounters? Pope Francis put it this way: very often we hear it said that the Lord is present on our journey, that he accompanies us and speaks to us. But perhaps, distracted as we are by many things, this truth remains merely theoretical for us. Yes, we know that the Lord is coming, but we do not live according to this truth. Or we imagine that the Lord will come in a spectacular way, perhaps through some miraculous sign. And instead, Jesus says that it will take place as in the days of Noah. And what did they do in the days of Noah? Just the normal, everyday things of life, as always, eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage. Let us bear this in mind. God is hidden in our life, but God is always there, concealed in the most common and most ordinary situations in our life. God does not come in extraordinary events, but in everyday things. God is there in our daily work, in a chance encounter, in the face of someone in need, even when we face days that seem gray and monotonous. It is right there that we find the Lord, who calls to us speaks to us, and inspires our actions. Pope Francis is reminding us that we need to develop our relations with God and with our brothers and sisters, based increasingly on a caring and unconditional love for all. This means looking for God, trying to find Jesus in every person, in every experience, trying to respect every person as the image of God, striving to love our neighbors as ourselves, to love everyone just as Jesus loves. If we are living this way, then we have prepared. We are ready. We do not need to be anxious about the future or what will happen to us. Concentrate instead on today, on the present hour, the present situation, and respond to it in truth and love, and the future will take care of itself. Let God into all the areas of our lives. Then we do not have to fear, no matter when Jesus makes his final call, because we know he is going to say, "Come, my friend, I want to share with you my life that never ends." And our response, "Yes, Lord, I'm ready. I have been waiting a lifetime for you." It will be an encounter not of strangers, but of two old friends. Thanks very much for listening. Please do feel free to share this reflection with others if you know people who would like to hear it. And if you'd like to subscribe and receive these automatically every week, please do that at our website, which is www.justanother.disciple.com. www.justanother.disciple.com. Thanks again.